One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question. Our guest today is Kelley Kish. She's the athletics director at Lake Erie College. Thanks for joining us today, Kelley.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Kelley, you are on day 101 on the job. What an interesting day to do a podcast, right?
Right.
Specifically there at Lake Erie College, when you accepted the job and you planned out your vision for the first 100 days. This is why this is the ideal time to ask the question, right? You planned out your time for the first 100 days. What were your goals for those first 100 days on campus? And what kind of processes or personal processes have helped you to achieve the goals that you set out to accomplish?
Sure, and it's kind of surreal to be looking back on my first 100 days on day 101,
Right.
but this is going to be fun, and I'm excited to share because I think you do kind of go in with those mindsets and benchmarks and things about the first 100 days. It is interesting to start in November, and I mean, we all know in this world, of those 100 days, we probably had about 2.5 weeks between Thanksgiving and winter closures,
Right.
and starting off the new semester that wasn't typical as far as student athletes and staff being around and whatnot. So that made it interesting too. But I think what I really did is I took a look at what were some of the immediate impact items that I could do to set the culture under my leadership and just kind of start making my impact related specifically to culture. And so a lot of that was being able to learn and observe and attend as many of our events as I can. And I mean events on campus and events obviously, within athletics as well. And just being able to ask questions and listen, and to me, write a lot down that then I could read later, because I needed to learn about our campus. I mean, I needed to learn about our student athletes, our staff, our community. Obviously I've made campus transitions before previous institutions, but this was kind of ramped up a bit with my first director of athletics position. And so these 100 days was also about setting a tone for me as the leader of this department, for both our colleagues across campus and our student athletes and our staff here in the department. So when you're looking, I wanted to kind of set a tone of availability, collaboration, how we're going to partner on things in and outside of our department, and making sure expectations were clear too. I also always had on my list, the first 100 days, I wanted to kind of come in and make sure, hey, we're running a compliant program, some things, making sure I could fully grasp those areas as well. Professional developments through women leaders in college sports and NCAA opportunities that I had helped me kind of think about what it would be like in this chair, but it's also so specific to institution, and so just really leaning on mentors, colleagues, people on our campus, asking those questions, and reading and absorbing a lot. And I think also one of my approaches, I know you said like what were some of my personal approaches or kind of the process to it,
Yes,
was
ma'am.
living close to campus, honestly. I
Okay.
mean that, that it's not far to come and be here the hours that it takes to really absorb in those first 100 days what I'm trying to do and set and get our culture, how I want it under my leadership.
Right. And like you mentioned, a lot of communication, getting to know everybody, basically onboarding, right? Getting to know everybody, letting everybody know you, how things run. Compliance, as you mentioned, is one of the huge things. What is your method for processing the enormous amount of information that has come your way? Obviously, in order to be in the job you're in, you have to be able to process enormous amounts of information in order to make decisions. What is one of your processes specifically for this 100 days as things have come towards you?
Well, leaning heavily on our president and the relationship with him and the rest of our cabinet, I mean, that's obviously huge, and is even part of the reason why I'm here at Lake Erie College. Is we have a relatively new president. I mean, this is his second year, and his vision and just the drive and the mission for the institution under his leadership. So that is a huge part as well of kind of getting this information, but then having these trusted colleagues and again himself to bounce things off of and think things through as we're approaching things. I know we all are familiar with the growth mindset, but I mean, I just can't stress enough how much that is part of this, of really just thinking things through and being open to this information and approaching things in that way. The other thing that, whether it's someone looking to transition to an AD role or not, is I was very fortunate that I think was a critical part of really hitting the ground running when I got here in mid-November, was I did a campus visit in October after I'd already accepted the position. That helped me house hunt, so it also helped on the personal side of things. But during those days on campus, I met with each member of our staff one-on-one, and really, talking to them about their vision, their, what are the opportunities that we have, what are the challenges that we have. It helped me set priorities and kind of the approaches that I knew I was going to do, and timing of what that would look like, and just made me more prepared with information and knowledge that I didn't have to spend that first week in November having all those meetings and trying to get that perspective. I was able to do that in October after I accepted the position. And then I just can't stress enough how much I lean on our staff and just ask questions, and they've just been amazing. We're fortunate that we have some coaches that are alums as an alum of our institution, graduate assistant, and some of our head coach. And so an opportunity that even asking them perspective and history, we have so many people that can provide that to me athletically, but then also leaning on, like I said, the president and other members of cabinet in that regard too, and just looking back in all those meetings, like you said, and the communication that I've been doing, just really looking back at those and just thinking, okay, I know we talked about this. Let me make sure that I fully understand it, and being as prepared as possible by not being afraid to ask the questions, and then using those answers to help me be processing all this information at the same time as making decisions.
Right. Well, it sounds to me like you're excited to be there. You're actually excited that all this information is coming towards you because it'll help you make decisions. And you mentioned the president and I believe there at Lake Erie College recently revealed a new strategic plan. Mm-hmm. And within that strategic plan, it mentions enrollment balance between NCAA and non-NCAA students there at Lake Erie. What has been discussed about your involvement with the strategic plan, and how have you adjusted your year one execution plan to ensure that the athletics department that you lead supports and enhances that plan?
Well, it's been really exciting, and that obviously was part of the draw to the institution as well, is that, hey, this is a chance to set this and be part of this and watch President Postler's vision, come to life here. And because the overall plan was set before my arrival, that was all kind of done with prior to getting here. But now it's really neat. We're in the action planning phase. So working really closely with our Vice President for Student Affairs to kind of, how do we make these come alive, these vision and this mission and this part of the strategic plan. So we're really fleshing out the parts of this that involve the day-to-day of, again, it just coming alive right in front of our eyes, which is so neat to be part of, this drive for the institution as a whole. I knew it would be part of it, and it is part of the excitement. And what I also loved about it is now athletics, we're going to be working on our own new mission, core values, and strategic plan to support and enhance the campus-wide. And it's really neat because the words, and the part of our mission that are excellence, inclusive, and highly personalized education, those words mean so much to me and my approach as a director of athletics. And so to be stepping into a campus that has that mission is is great, and I love that. But now I get to be part of what does that look like within athletics, and then like you said, in turn, what does that look like for the whole campus? And to be part of that and work so closely with, again, our Vice President for Student Affairs tremendously on putting a lot of that, especially the point that you mentioned, into action and into life. It's going to be really neat part of that, and to see it, and then to be able to evaluate and see it. It's going to be really fun.
Time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that is excellent. I have one final question here.
Okay.
In terms of the first 100 days and the goals you put in place. It's probably too early, but what is your evaluation plan? Like, do you wait till day 150 and look back at the goals, or just now you're on the ground running and it's a constant good leaders evaluate all the time, right? To see where they need to adjust. And so, what is your plan for evaluation? Well, I guess over the next 100 days, or even at end of year one, the benchmarks you mentioned in the beginning of this conversation.
Right. Well, this was a neat way to look back at the first 100 days, and like right. I said, to kind of talk through and even be thinking ahead to the opportunity to share this and talk with you today. But at the same time, I really am looking kind of as the benchmark of the end of the academic year, and just kind of look back and see what did we do as a semester, where I actually, was here the full semester, and some of the things that we have put in place, initiatives around some academic support, initiatives around some community and building and a sense of place for our student athletes, some initiatives that we're doing across the community with a mentorship program, and really have the opportunity to look back at that. And then I like the timing of then we're going into the summer and continuing that evaluation when there's a little more of a chance to breathe, just as far as, share people on campus and events that we have going on, to then, I've already hit the ground running, so then be in sprint mode to kind of put things in action and unveil a lot more come the new academic year when I'm here for a full academic year. But I just really, trying to be intentional with, what things, what are we trying to achieve that can be done within, a semester and a half that I've been here, or semester and less than a half, and then what are we, again, just kind of setting that culture and that tone to then unveil a deeper dive come the full academic year for 18-19.
Right. Well, Kelley, I'll say this. I would imagine that it wasn't hard for your staff to buy into your excitement and passion for the job that you've taken on. You sound like you're really excited to be there, and I'm sure they're excited to have you there. And I just want to say thank you for joining us today on One Question.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's an honor and a pleasure to represent Lake Erie College on this podcast, but just in general, and the excitement that we have entering a new conference with our new president, and seeing the way that we can have this positive impact on our student athletes. So thanks again for letting me share a little bit about what that looked like in the first 100 days.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds like exciting times. That was Kelley Kish. She is the Director of Athletics at Lake Erie College, and this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.